Two teams that are at a different end of the spectrum as far as ODI cricket is concerned. You've got England, the highest ranked ODI team in the world. On the other hand, Afghanistan, the lowest ranked ODI team in this tournament. Their performance also corresponds with that. Yes, England had a sort of an upset there versus Pakistan. Can Afghanistan do the same? A few issues there for both teams to tackle right now. England have a few injury concerns. Afghanistan haven't really been able to figure out their playing 11. The only thing that's common between these two teams, there are only 2 out of those 3 teams at this World Cup who haven't had a rain abandonment. We'll have to wait and watch how the weather in Manchester plays out. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. I'm Nikhil Naz. We're building up to game number 24. It's England versus Afghanistan. With me, as always, Michael Hussey, but next to him, there's been a change of guard. Ajit Agarkar on a holiday. Murali Kartik is back from the cool confines of England to the humid weather in Mumbai. How does it feel?
You've explained it all for me.
Are you liking?
I'm a bit jet lagged. If I'm not able to understand your answer properly, please bear with me.
Okay, we will. But you know, a good hot weather isn't that bad. Alexis Nunes, who joins us live from Manchester, will also tell you that. But just look at this game. I'll start with you, Michael. I mean, as I mentioned at the start, playing 11 for Afghanistan, they haven't really been able to figure out. Would you be making any changes to the two teams today?
I don't think so for Afghanistan. I think it was a little bit surprising they left Najibullah out in the previous match. He got a 50 and a 50 against Australia and a 40 odd against Sri Lanka. So he was left out for the former captain to come in. Whether they look to bring him back in, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a tough call on Asghar Afghan to leave him out after just one opportunity there. So I'd probably be looking at going for the same team. For England, I think there's going to be a forced change there. I'd say James Vince is going to come in at the top of the order. And other than that, as long as Owen Morgan's fit, which he appears to be so, then I probably wouldn't be looking to change anything else.
Okay, Vince comes in for you. Kartik, what about you? Would you be tempted to bring someone like a Murali, or do you go in with just a regular opener there in Vince?
Look, I would be tempted with Murali because he's been one of your regular players and he's always been there with them for a long time. When it came to just adding to the bowling arsenal, they decided to leave him out. I'd actually be tempted. I've always been a big fan of Murali, more than James Vince, so possibly that personal prejudice comes in place. But having said that, I'm pretty sure that they're going to go with what Huss said, get Vince at the top of the order, because if need be, if something happens to either of the openers, then you need him. That's one of the reasons why he's there, and why not try him out against a team like Afghanistan. But I would not want to let go of Moeen Ali. I want to bring him back somewhere.
If the conditions are suitable, would you perhaps try and bring him in for maybe like a Liam Plunkett or something like that?
It depends if it's the same surface, Huss, because the other day when I was there, I saw balls turn. Even Imad Wasim, who doesn't spin the ball, got the ball to break. So Moeen Ali, he actually spins the ball. And against Afghanistan, I'm not a big fan of too many. I somehow like 2 spinners. And if you have quality spinners, bring them in. And that too with the batting advantage, which Moeen Ali has. So I was a bit surprised when he got left out, but I guess teams make those calls. So that's one of the reasons why I want him at the top of the order, so that he can bowl off spin as well.
Right, a few question marks for England at the moment. As I mentioned, a few injuries there. One will be a forced change. Jason Roy is out because of a hamstring injury. Other questions over the captain himself, Owen Morgan. He had back spasms in the last game that England played. What is the team going to look like? This is Owen Morgan taking all the questions before the match.
I think, having watched the game, Pakistan, it offered enough for both. I think I thought with the seam paces it actually went through and bounced quite nicely, and then it turned a little bit with the spinners. So we've just been out to look at the wicket. It still hasn't been like dressed up, repaired and rolled, so we'll have another look again in the morning as to what balance of bowling lineup we'll go with. I think it will be a case of speaking to Ed, because ultimately Ed gets the final call and say on who is involved in the 15, and then addressing how that would look in a changing room setup. I think going game on game basis, depending on where we were in the tournament and how crucial the games were that we needed to win, I'd be able to answer that question then. He's obviously a huge part of what we've been doing. He's in the best form of his life, so he's very important.
Quite interesting there from Eoin Morgan talking about Alex Hales, so hasn't really ruled him out of the tournament so far. Whether England will draft him in for Jason Roy, I reckon at the moment they're willing to wait for Jason Roy and his fitness update. Let's take you live now to Manchester. Joining me from there, my very hard-working colleague in Alexis Nunes. Alexis, the only one I think who's working harder than you is someone called Merlin. It's the spin bowling machine that England have got deployed there in their net practice session. That's what they're expecting here against Afghanistan?
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what they're expecting. And first and foremost, let me just let you guys know that this is the warmest, most beautiful day I have ever experienced in England since I touched down about 3 weeks ago. And don't worry, because I'm going to have a special guest pop in soon if we're talking about Spain. But that's something that Eoin Morgan was asked about, because Afghanistan against England is definitely a top of the table clash versus bottom of the table. Afghanistan yet to get a win on the board. But when he was asked about what parts of their game he's most fearing, he of course said the spin bowling, because they do have some quality spinners, so they had to get the spin bowling machine out to try and test their luck against it. We'll see exactly how the batsmen might stack up against that. But first and foremost, amazing weather. I'm going to pull in somebody here right now. Look who finally made it to the party, the president of the Spin Bowling Union. So we'll just start this conversation right here. England batsmen up against the spin. What are you expecting today?
Yeah, England haven't played spin traditionally well at all, especially wrist spin. They don't manoeuvre the ball well. If they're just smashing it with one thought in mind, we're going to get 400, they're great. If they're trying to manoeuvre it, we really are. We're like Australia. We're not very good at all. So I think.
So you're giving up on them already?
No. So I think that's a big area where they need to improve. And before the tournament, they actually lost to Australia in a warm-up game where they couldn't even manoeuvre Nathan Lyon, a finger spinner. So I'm concerned. Are going to go on to win the World Cup. They'll have to do that. The 20 overs of spin that India would bowl, Chahal and Kuldeep, they're 20 overs that you need to score 100 runs off without losing wickets. So it is an area for England to look out for today. But as you say, beautiful weather. Manchester's gone potty for it. It's taken me an hour to get here. One more Afghanistan, not ease off. I think they need to go out there and be twice as aggressive as they normally would, and really think we are not going to let this underdog take us down.
And what would an England match be without a Graeme Swann rant about including one player that England absolutely cannot do without, especially at the top of the order? That is Jason Roy. And unfortunately, they have to do without him, at least for the next 2 games. I know you're very sad about that, but James Vince comes in. Definitely a capable replacement there. So how are you feeling about that one?
Well, I'm very happy. James Vince is possibly the best player with the worst record in world cricket. I promise you, when you see him bat, he is poetry in motion. He makes Rohit Sharma look like he's a machine. Honestly, he's that good. But he doesn't score runs like Rohit Sharma. That's the problem. He gets 30s, 40s and nicks off all the time. This could be the game, because it's against Afghanistan, not taking anything away from them. The sort of game he comes in, gets a big 100, finds a bit of belief in himself, and then becomes a real selection headache for England. That's what I'm hoping today. But I mean, you know, I did say that about Jason Roy. That was before Joe Root just stepped in and got 100 opening the batting. Opening the batting is a piece of cake. We've seen that now.
Albeit that was against the West Indies, who really and truly did not provide much threat there. Anyways, we'll go back to studio for you guys now, where we'll get Swanee fully capable to speak again with his own mic, because I don't like sharing.
All right, thanks so much for that, Alexis. We'll try and get back to you and get you some more updates there from Manchester. But for the moment, let's just get you what's happening in the world of social media. This is Anubhav, my colleague with the Social Corner.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's good to have Murali Kartik back in the studio, who isn't the biggest fan of my dramatic gesticulation. So, Kartik, I'm going to tone them down just for you. Brilliant. All right, let's talk business. And when I say business, I mean social media, which, unlike other businesses, should not be taken too seriously. Up first, we've got Kevin Peterson, who says that Jofra Archer will be the single difference between England winning and not winning this World Cup. Now, what I find extremely funny about this is that we've got a South African talking about how a West Indian will be the single difference between England winning and not winning this World Cup. Ethnic diversity at its very best. Up next, we've got Russell Arnold, who's reminding us that Jofra Archer would not have been eligible to play for England at this year's World Cup had the ECB not amended its residency rules as they pertain to foreign players. So here's Russell Arnold taking a dig, saying, so if England have to replace Roy or Morgan due to injury, which country do they pick a replacement from? India, Australia, New Zealand? I mean, it's just a matter of changing the rules, isn't it? Hashtag Archer Amendment. Shots fired there. Up next, we've got Steve Smith, who's narrating a very funny anecdote involving Ricky Ponting and him. So Ricky Ponting was walking down the hotel hallway when he heard the familiar thuk, thuk, thuk sound coming from Steve Smith's room. And that's when Ricky Ponting walked up to Steve Smith later that day and asked him, were you batting at 7 o'clock this morning? And then Steve Smith replied, yeah, actually was. Michael Hussey, as someone who knows Steve Smith really well, someone who's played with him, does this surprise you at all?
It doesn't surprise me one little bit, to be honest. Steve Smith loves batting as much as anyone I know in the whole world, and he actually got his wife to put the balls into the bowling machine one time so he could practice his batting as well. So that's how much he's devoted to his batting.
I think, so has he replaced you as Mr. Cricket?
I think he should become Mr. Cricket. He should be
Mr. Cricket Junior.
He should definitely take over. I'm happy to give him the tag.
That moniker definitely belongs to you. I can call him Mr. Perfectionist. Up next, we've got Virat Kohli, who's telling us that he's been practicing the pose that he's striking here since the early 90s. Now, I must say that not much has changed, apart from the fact that he's grown a beautiful beard, and he's added a couple of very innocuous words to his vocabulary that we see him using on the cricket field fairly often. We should ask Ben Stokes what those words are. And we're going to wrap things up with Iceland Cricket, who believe that the opinion that Kohli is a bad guy is officially invalid now because, number one, he doesn't respond to Rabada's abuse. Number two, he tells the crowd to applaud Steve Smith. And number three, he walks when he shouldn't have walked against Pakistan. And they say anyone who sticks to the Kohli is a bad guy opinion is now officially proskaheftur. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of this term, which in Icelandic means senseless or retarded.
All right, thanks so much for that, Anubhav. I'd also suggest that Icelandic Cricket, their association, should watch all of 50 overs, not just bits and pieces of when Virat Kohli is on the field. Okay, but I'd love to take that one question to Graeme Swann. Alexis, could Swanee hear Anubhav and the social corner?
Swanee, were you able to hear them in the social corner? No, unfortunately, we weren't
No,
able
okay.
to hear you
So
guys, so you're going to have to ask us again.
Right, I'll just throw that question, that tweet from Russell Arnold, and you could throw that question to Swanee then, Alexis. Russell Arnold goes ahead and says that now that Jason Roy is out, which country will now England go looking for to replace as an opener? Would you want to throw that question to Swanee?
Oh, we knew that was definitely coming because they are notorious for that. So Russell Arnold was asking, now that Jason Roy is out, which country will England be looking to replace him?
Well, we don't want Australians. We don't need those because, let's face it, they scratch the ball and cheat. We don't want that in our team.
Shots fired down here. Remember, Mike Hussey's in studio.
That's exactly why I'm saying it. And they also can't count to 10, and that's a prerequisite to play for England now. You have to be able to count to 20 without taking your shoes and socks off. So no Australians, please. I don't think we've had Kiwis. We've got Stokes.
You've got Ben
Don't
Stokes.
encourage him, Alexis.
You've got a couple West Indians.
Yeah, we've got a couple of... I'm just trying to think any nation. Look, if we're a nation of immigration and celebration, then guilty as charged.
He's one for all the people. But I think we got to give Mike a chance to clap back after that. Those are some serious shots fired.
No, Mike's actually from Perth, so that's hardly Australia at all. It's the most remote city on the planet. It's actually closer to Nottingham than it is to Sydney.
Okay, we'll get Michael Hussey to respond.
Hussey's
I mean,
too
doesn't
nice
want an
to be Australian
Australian
anyway.
opener. Aaron Finch, one of the best openers you got in the tournament.
See, one thing I've learned playing against Graeme Swann, he's very quick-witted, and so you don't want to take him on in a sledging contest going back and forth. So I'll just let that one go through to the keeper. But you're right, he has to try and get the spinner in there, and he has to get at least one sledge about Australia in there as well in his little pre-game So yeah, all good fun with Swanee, but yeah. I'm just looking forward to watching England crash down at the end of the tournament, Australia knocking them off in the semi-final or something like that, and watching him cry.
Okay, tell you what, this is not about Australia versus England. We're building up to the game between England and Afghanistan. This is game number 24. Plenty to talk about in this particular encounter. We'll be back shortly after a break.
Which is your favourite Irish meal?
Favourite Irish meal would be bacon cabbage.
One item in your kit bag that you can't live without.
Caffeine tablets.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure, a glass of red wine.
Who has the best, worst taste in music in the team?
Oh, that's a difficult one. The worst taste in music, Alex Hales. It's just he listens to music and it's so loud. So on the team bus, if you're sitting beside him, all you can hear is noise out of his headphones. So I'm not quite sure what it is, but it doesn't sound great. Best taste in music, Joss Butler.
If you weren't a cricketer, what profession would you be in?
I'm not sure. I'd be involved in sports somewhere along the way. I love sport. I always have done. So I believe that sort of my passion and love would for any sport would override any job.
Who is the worst singer in the national team?
I'm just trying to think of the anthem. Who do you stand beside? That's not very good. Probably Adele or something like that.
Your hidden talent? Play an instrument, amazing at math, etc.?
I don't think I have any.
Who's the fiercest bowler you have ever faced?
Fiercest bowler, Sean Tate.
Favourite travel destination?
Barbados.
One song you can't get out of your head?
It's My Alarm. Drake, One Dance.
Do you have any superstitions before a match?
Not necessarily superstitions, but I do have a routine in which I say put my pad on. I put my right pad on first, then my left, then my thigh guard. Then I'll mess around with my gloves and just make sure everything's ready before I get to bat.
Who is the joker of the squad?
Murali.
Any anecdote?
He's a very funny guy, very quick-witted. Yeah, that's why.
One player from any nationality that you could have in your team, who would it be?
Brett Lee. I used to love playing with Brett Lee.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Looking forward to game number 24. It's England versus Afghanistan. Let's now take you live to Manchester. This is Sanjay Manjrekar with both the captains. But for our viewers on ESPN Cricinfo, we'll continue chatting. Let's talk about the pitch and the condition. Michael, I'll start with this one. We saw that game, India taking on Pakistan. There was a bit in there for the fast bowlers, but what do? Do you bat first here? Because, you know, Pakistan chose not to do that, didn't really quite turn out really the way they would have wanted, or because looking at the result, you'd rather be batting first? What is it that you do?
Well, it depends on the conditions, really. The other day in the India-Pakistan game, it was overcast, there was a threat of rain coming, and so I think that's why Pakistan chose to field first. But it sounds like it's a beautiful day there in Manchester.
Yeah.
Check out the pitch. If it's a good pitch, maybe it'd be worth getting in first, try and bat
it's
first.
It's the same track where India and Pakistan played, same strip.
So same strip, so it might be a little bit worn as well. That might mean Ali might come into consideration as well, because yes, there was a little bit in it for the fast bowlers, but it also turned a little bit as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Moeen come into it, and I wouldn't be surprised then whoever wins the toss might want to bat first, because the pitch might slow down a little bit as the game wears on, because it's a used pitch.
The only problem with batting first, right now it's rather sunny there in Manchester, but I'm looking at the weather forecast, showers expected, and then when the total keeps changing, would you then be tempted to?
I don't think it makes a big difference nowadays. People have understood how to go about it, how to find out. And again, you look at the trends, and if you look at the way the World Cup has panned out, it's not as if people have chased down big targets. Yes, yesterday was an aberration, which I didn't watch, but when you look at it, yeah, you do want, as an expert, that England wins the toss and asks Afghanistan to bat first and literally runs amok, but that's not going to happen. Sometimes teams do want to get their batting practice in. The other day I was a bit disappointed with what Pakistan did, because they dropped a seamer and then they decided to bowl first and also gave a bowl to a spinner in the 8th over. But I'm pretty sure today England, they want to hit all the corners, make sure that they are ticking, because they are the best side. If you look at it, they are the best side. They're the most fancied side in this competition. And against Afghanistan, which has been struggling, literally struggling, you want to make sure that it's a good hit out there.
The point that Michael makes about, you know, it being the same strip, we saw the Indian spinners do very well. Now it would have had some sort of, you know, wearing out even more. Then you see two spinners for England.
Look, watching the game from the media box, for sure, I wouldn't say it was a seamer's wicket. It used to be once upon a time. If you hit good lengths like what the seamers, every time they did it, there was something in it. Otherwise, it was a good batting wicket at Lancashire. Yes, it did spin. That's why I said Imad Wasim, when he can spin the ball, which means that there is a bit of something for the spinners there. The wrist spinners are going to come into play. Moeen Ali as a finger spinner is one spinner or lone spinner in world cricket who does spin the ball.
Okay, we'll have to just wait and watch what is the team that wins the toss decides to do here. All right, that was the toss then with Sanjay Manjrekar. England have won the toss and have decided to bat first. That's what we're getting to know at the moment. Maybe it's based on what Pakistan didn't do in that game. Remember, versus India, they won the toss, decided to field first. Didn't quite pan out the way that they would have expected. England batting first would be looking then to be putting up a big total versus Afghanistan. The problem with Afghanistan up until now in this tournament has been they haven't batted the 50 overs. In fact, in the 4 games that they've got in this World Cup so far, they have not even batted for 40 overs. Let's take a look at the English playing 11 for this game. One force change they'd have to make because Jason Roy is out because of an hamstring injury. What have they done? They've got James Wins in there as the replacement of the opener. Just looking at all other changes, you've got Moeen Ali coming in. That means Plunkett, I don't see Plunkett's name, so he's out. Those are the 2 changes that England have made at the moment, and we'll take you live to Manchester as well to get you some reaction from Alexis Nunes and Graeme Swann joining us from there. Alexis, over to you.
Thanks so much, Nikhil. As you can see, somebody is clearly a very, very, very happy bunny.
He's
that
back.
Moeen Ali
He's
is
back.
finally back in the side.
Yes. Well, yeah, no Liam Plunkett. Harsh on him because he's been brilliant. But, yeah, I'm so happy he's back in. I just hope that England start to see one of the reasons they've got to #1 in the world. There's all little parts of the puzzle, but one of the big pieces for me is how effective their 20 overs of spin have been over the last couple of years. They seem to have forgotten that or poo-pooed it. And I love the fact they've batted first as well. Huss was dead right. It is a nice day. The wicket could get slower as it goes on. And against Afghanistan, I said this yesterday, I want to see England be ruthless. I want to see them go out there and say, no, this is the game we try and get 500. It's going to be a good pitch. Yeah, we do not just scratch around. If they ease off the gas, afraid of being very aggressive because it might backfire, then it can backfire. If you're not, if you go with all 11, if you go hard, the Afghanistan won't know what's hitting them, and that's what I'm hoping to see. It's a very Australian way that Huss pointed out to me yesterday, and it makes me feel a little bit sick inside to copy Australia and anything. But you know, we all grow and we move on as people, and I think if Mike Hussey can now speak to me as a normal human being and not just play cover drives and ignore me like he did in the Ashes, then everything can change.
Oh my goodness, I thought the Aussies were the kings of sledging, but Swann is just absolutely throwing it through the camera to Mike over there. We'll definitely get him. But other good news, Owen Morgan, we were wondering if he was actually going to be out there to do the toss yesterday in the press conference. He said if the match were yesterday, he would be fit to play, and he said true to his word. So good to have the England captain out there.
Absolutely. He's the biggest linchpin in the team because he's such a good leader. He's so aggressive. He's so proactive, which is, I mean, let's face it, that's not an English trait. We normally react to things and play a fairly conservative English game. And it's the reason why we've not been any good at one-day cricket for a long time. But copying the West Indies, what am I talking about? Copying New Zealand, like Owen Morgan did with his relationship with Baz McCullum, has really helped for England. And without him, I feared for England, even though Joss Buttler was an able replacement, wasn't the same thing. So everything's fallen into place here, Huss. Send me the medals now. Send me the medals.
The sun's shining. Graeme Swann's happy. The bees are flying around. You guys are missing out over here.
We definitely are. You want 30 seconds for a retort, or should I let it be for
in the
some other day?
Ashes, when Swanee was bowling to me all those times, he was calling me Dave. So I didn't realise he was actually talking to me. I thought he was talking about someone else on the field. That's why I didn't respond to him. But, I really like the balance of this English team. There's still 4 seamers there because Ben Stokes is there as an all-rounder. 2 spinners, long batting order. It looks a very, very impressive team to me, and maybe 500 is a little bit too much to be aiming for, I think, Swanee, but because, you've got to show some respect to these Afghan, particularly their spinners. Nabi's a very good spinner, and we all know how good Rashid Khan is. So I still think you need to show some respect to those guys. But yeah, definitely keep playing as positively as you possibly can, but I think 500 is probably a little bit too much.
Okay, let's
that was typical Swanee there.
Yeah, let's quickly take a look at the Afghanistan playing 11 as well. They've made 3 changes to that playing 11. Let's quickly have that. Najibul Zadran comes back. Don't think he's going to open the innings. Then you've got Mujibur Rahman coming in, this extra spinner. They've got Daulat Zadran is there. That means they've dropped both their fast bowlers that they had. They've gone out. They've got an extra spinner now in Mujib. Daulat Zadran Zadran, the only fast bowler that they've got in this 11, the highest run scorer for them. Najibullah Zadran comes back 2, and Aftab, the other fast bowler, has also gone out. Interesting team selection there. Zazai as well, the opener, also goes out. Now, wonder whether Rehmat Shah is going to open. You get Shahidi to open, or do you get Najibullah Zadran there to open? Clearly, Michael, I come to you with thoughts on this one. Plenty of changes. The Mujib coming in, they reckon that this is going to be a turner of a try.
Yeah, so they're obviously thinking that it's a used pitch. It might turn a little bit, so I don't mind Mujib coming in because we know he's been a high-quality spinner as well. So, yeah, let's see how they go.
Okay, plenty of changes there for Afghanistan and plenty to talk about as well. For the moment, we'll have to take a short break on our show, but we'll continue with the discussion after that.
C is for colour. Look good to feel good. Prior to the 90s, there had been 4 World Cups, but none looked as spectacular as the one down under in 92. It was the first one to feature teams in coloured clothing. A cue taken from Kerry Packer's many moves to make cricket cool. Boy, had there been Twitter then, this picture would have gone totally viral. Ironically, the ball went from coloured to white as the floodlights were turned on. It was quite a spectacle, especially when batsmen such as this Sir made full use of the newly introduced fielding restrictions. United colours of 1992. A vibe so good when the tournament returned to Australia after 23 years.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Game number 24 there, England versus Afghanistan. The toss was won by England and they've decided to bat first. Changes there for both the teams. England have made 2 changes to their playing 11. They've got Murali back. James Winns comes in as the opener in place of Jason Roy. As for Afghanistan, they've got 3 changes there. They've got Mujib coming in for a fast bowler. As far as their batting is concerned, they've dropped Zazai and Najibullah Zadran, their highest run getter in this tournament, makes a return after missing out on that particular game that Afghanistan lost prior to this. Okay, I'll come to Kartik on this one. We're seeing plenty of spinners now. Moin coming back for England, and they've got Mujib here. How do you see this play out in the game?
Yeah, that is something which we can't make out sitting here, isn't it? Sometimes you look at the surface and you want to pick a spinner, and I think Lancashire, old-fashioned, traditionally has been a wicket which has helped spinners. Even the other day we saw some help. The one which got rid of Babar Azam was an absolute beauty. Mujibur Rahman, possibly this is the way they feel they're going to trouble England, is attack them with spin. If the opposition is thinking of Merlin, let's bring the real Merlins in and have a go at them. Look, Afghanistan is always going to struggle, Nikhil, if you're not going to put enough runs on the board, especially in a T20 or a white ball format like 50 over. You're always going to put that much more pressure on your bowlers. Defending is not always easy on good surfaces. So, yeah, 3 changes. If you're in a place like that, you want to try as many as what those guys are thinking at the moment.
Okay, quick word on their batting for Afghanistan. We knew Najibullah will come in. You were also of the opinion he might just come in for that. But then you thought Afghan may go out. Didn't have a great outing last time. But that's not what they've done. Zazai, the guy who was getting you runs, gone out. How do you see that?
Well, I think it's good that they've backed Asghar Afghan. You know, just one game, and you know everyone can miss out in one game. It'll be very interesting to see who opens the batting. That's going to be the interesting one. So I'm not sure which way they're going to go, but I'm glad that Najibullah's back in because he has been performing well for Afghanistan so far in the tournament.
All right, I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for you on this particular show. We're building up to game number 24 in Manchester. This is England versus Afghanistan. We'll have the English batsmen coming out soon, and then that whole battle between Afghanistan spinners and the English batting lineup will unfold right in front of us. Thanks so much for joining us on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. All right, but for our digital viewers on ESPN Cricinfo, we'll continue. Let's now go across to Manchester. We've got Alexis Nunes and Graeme Swann from there. Swanee, we were talking about the spinners and the English batsmen playing the spinners. Mujib coming in, do you think that's influenced from the fact, I don't know, they must have seen a test match that happened not too many months ago. Roston Chase, I'm guessing, picking up 8 wickets in that second innings. So bring in that off spinner. That's what Afghanistan has done.
Yeah, I didn't really hear the back end of that, sorry, but yeah, England aren't great against the spin bowlers, we know that. This wicket does turn at Old Trafford, but it's a good pitch. They're playing on the same wicket that Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli looked so good on the other night. There was only 1 or 2 deliveries. Kuldeep's obviously to Babar was an incredible delivery. Only 1 or 2 that really turned. The pitch has now had 3 or 4 more days of weather wear and tear, but it will have been rolled and cut. So I'm not expecting a great deal more in the first innings. That's why I think England have done well. They fear the Afghanistan spinners, as they should, because Rashid Khan especially is world class. So to let him bowl first on it is a very good move, very aggressive move, because any England team that I've played in would have definitely gone, oh no, we'll bowl first and just get the game over with quickly, when what they're really thinking is we don't want to bat second when it starts to rag a bit. So very aggressive move by England, very good move. Let's face it, whatever Afghanistan throw at this game shouldn't be enough, and we know that. But this World Cup has still got a massive upset in it. I know it has. It's round the corner. I refuse to believe that Pakistan beating England is the upset that could define the tournament. Not today, Afghanistan, but come on, you can do it. You can do it.
As Nikhil was saying, in terms of the spinners going up against the England batsmen, he was basically saying about Mujib. He's been brought back in. So how do you see that matchup going?
Oh, Mujib's a fine bowler, but he's not Rashid Khan. I don't think England should fear anyone, but they should treat them with respect. And by respect, I think that nowadays it's, okay, we'll take them for 50 runs and not give them a wicket, which sounds a lot, 50 runs off 10 overs. It's not really. When you put 5 50s together, you've got 250, which is a very poor one-day score. So treat the spinners with respect, really, really target the seam bowlers of Afghanistan, who are, their weak link.
Well, the spinner says treat the spinners with respect. Shocker.
Okay, I don't know, Alexis, if Swanee didn't hear my reference to Roston Chase picking up those wickets versus England, an off-spinner, or did he choose not to hear that? But anyway, I'm just going to go back to that discussion that we were having.
My earpiece, I tell you.
Okay, just going back to that discussion, I know it's not part of the playing 11, but this was a reference that Eoin Morgan made right at the start of our program. We were listening to his press conference where he spoke about Alex Hales actually not really ruling him out in the scheme of things for England going ahead. What does Swanee make of that? I mean, Alex Hales still in the minds of the English team. Would it be fine for them to bring him back if Jason Roy is not fit? I mean, last time, it took him, I guess, 7 weeks to recover from a hamstring injury.
Exactly, that was the thing. I mean, when we're talking about hamstring tears as well, and we did the preview with George Jabel, he said, I know Eoin Morgan's trying to be positive by saying at least for the next 2 games, and he hopefully expects him to be back for the match against Australia. But this is a pretty serious injury, and it can be pretty bad. So what do you think of the fact that Alex Hales' name is still being floated around?
That nearly knocked me off my feet then. No. Look, one of the brilliant things about Eoin Morgan's captaincy was before this, he phoned up Alex Hales. When this story was about to break, he phoned up Alex Hales and gave him the opportunity, said, look, mate, what's happening? I'm your captain. We can work this out. We can sort. And Alex Hales lied to him about the gravity of the situation, pretended it wasn't what it was. That's what Eoin Morgan dropped him about. That's what he said. There's a breakdown of trust and communication. I'm not having that. This isn't just somebody captain, but it's his friend as well. And for him to do that, for just to turn your back on that and actually sort of renege against your morals as a skipper 3 weeks later because Jason Roy's got injured, I think that would weaken Eoin Morgan's standing within the team subconsciously, and definitely within mine. Alex Hales needs to serve his time, needs to go out there and realise what he wants to do. Does he want to be part of a World Cup winning cricket team, or potentially World Cup winning cricket team, or does he want to go out and party all the time and make his money and look back on his career in 30 years' time and being thoroughly ashamed of what he did? I'm not sure he's completely in the I want to be part of a successful England team barrel yet. So, no, I pray that this doesn't happen. Come on.
All right, there you have it, Nikhil. He's not having it. Swanee's not having it, and he doesn't think Owen will
We don't
be
need
having
him.
it either.
Open the bat with Moeen.
Okay, final question, Alexis, for Graeme, right next to you. I'm just taking names of 3 teams: Netherlands, Scotland, Ireland. 3 teams that have beaten England in one day in the recent past. Can I add Afghanistan to that?
Look, England, I can't really argue with it because, yeah, we do lose to all these teams. You know what? A quick story. When when Wilfred was born, it was just at the start of the World Cup in India, 2011. And I was told by Andy Fleay, you can have a week at home, have your baby, you know, take him home, get to know him and everything. The day that my wife went into labour, he phoned up saying, I've changed my mind, get on the aeroplane, we're playing Holland tomorrow. They beat us in the World 2020. I'm not letting it happen again. You must play. So that's how worried England are of underdogs. I had to fly to Nagpur and play a World Cup game, half asleep, with a new baby at home against the Dutch. So come on, England. Throw all that old school worrying out the way. Destroy Afghanistan today, please, in a friendly manner.
All right, there you have it. He's talking the talk, and hopefully we'll see if England can walk the walk.
All right, thanks so much for that, Alexis Nunes, Graeme Swann. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. We'll let you now go and enjoy that game between Afghanistan and England, which is about to begin, but we'll continue talking. Michael Hussey, Murali, Kartik still with us. Kartik, I'll just take on that point that Graeme Swann made. I know we're building it up as David versus Goliath, but he said you can't really take Afghanistan easily. He would like the English team to be as aggressive as they are with the rest of the teams.
I think that's the right way to go. I think every time you always think a banana peel is going to be harmless and you fall on it. So you never take anyone. Anybody could have a great day. Rashid Khan could have a magical day. Anybody can have a great day. Zadran comes and gets 100. You never know. They've already been beaten by Pakistan. Nobody gave Pakistan a chance after losing 11 times in 11 games. And that to the way they were going in England. They were getting clobbered. But that's how games can. That's how sport is. It just changes on its head suddenly. And it's good that England don't take anybody lightly. And I don't know, I won't use the word aggressive. You still want to be cautious. You can't just go all guns blazing thinking that it's the number last team on the tables list. And somebody like him who's got the maximum number of wickets in what, ODI cricket in 2018?
But I'll get you to answer that question. We're taking a look at his breakup year-wise from 2015 till 2019, and he's been outstanding most of those years. But 2019, you can see there, a dip of sorts as far as his form is concerned. 9 innings, just 10 wickets there. The spinner on our panel. What do you think?
Look, possibly England at the moment, they're not getting that many wickets. He has played 4 games there. And I would just say it's a minor blip. We can't read too much into it. I would still feel that he's also trying a few things. He's spoken about the fact that he's trying a few things in one-day cricket, trying a few new deliveries. Look, I won't read too much into it.
Okay, we'll have the English batsmen now coming out, batting against the spinners that Afghanistan have. Now 3 good spinners Afghanistan have. Will it be a problem area for England? And Michael, there, to be fair to Graeme Swann there, he was saying that England don't do very well against spin. Yes, that was the case traditionally, but I'm just taking a look at post the 2015 World Cup. You see the difference. Before that, they were just averaging about around 30. Look at that average post-Cricket World Cup 2015 in the last 4 years or so. England have improved as a batting unit versus spinners, and especially I'm just looking at white ball cricket, not so much the red ball cricket.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see that and listening to Swanny's comments. I think the other pertinent point, though, is that the rules have changed quite a bit. Swanny sort of said, if you take someone for 50 runs now, then that's not considered too bad. Whereas back, when we were playing, if someone went for 30, they'd done a pretty good job. So because of the field restrictions changing, the benchmarks have changed there a little bit. But I think what Swanny was referring to and alluding to was that when England are just trying to rotate the strike, they struggle against good spinners. When they're just looking to bash it and play really aggressively, then they can probably go a little bit better. The pitches have been pretty good in one-day cricket over the last few years as well, so it's probably not aided the spinners too much. This one looks like a little bit more of a worn pitch from what we're hearing, and maybe the spinners might come into it a bit more.
Right, Afghanistan will be very glad to see that sort of a pitch because they've been complaining up until now that the conditions really aren't suiting their bowlers in England at the World Cup so far. Okay, now if those of you who watch our program and enjoy watching the Cricket World Cup can make your own predictions. Yes, we said it's a David versus Goliath battle, but for those of you who think it could be an upset, you can even pick Afghanistan, participate in a contest that we've got on ESPN Cricinfo called Cricket Picks, and this is how you can join in.
Put your tipping to the test. Play Cricket Picks, the new predictor game from ESPN Cricinfo. Make predictions and track your progress throughout the tournament. The easiest thing you'll do all day. Go to espncricinfo.com/cricketpicks and play today.
Right, let's see if any of our experts have picked Afghanistan on this particular encounter. None. Everyone's gone with England, including Murali, Kartik, who actually likes the Afghanistan team. I thought that you'd pick, for a change, just for an upset. Plenty of spinners there, but you haven't. You've gone with just common sense and the form that's happening at the Cricket World Cup so far. So he hasn't picked Afghanistan either. But we said, we've seen one upset in this World Cup. Pakistan upset the English team. Can Afghanistan do the same? We'll have to just wait and watch. But this Cricket World Cup, why just watch the match when you can just play it? Check out Hotstar, watch and play, a super cool innovation that lets you invite your friends, predict every ball, chat about the match, all at one place. And if winning the prediction isn't enough, you get to win amazing prizes too. Right, so just join in on that particular contest that we've got on Hotstar. Just going back to the performance of the Afghanistan spinners versus the England batsmen. The area we keep talking about the spinners having to do well. I'll get Kartik on this one. It's the Afghanistan batsmen who really need to put their heads down and bat, because as we saw, they haven't even batted more than 40 overs.
Yeah, exactly. And in one-day cricket more so, because Huss pointed out that wickets are very good. So there's no complaints against a wicket or the wickets you're playing on. And for Afghanistan to improve, and they have shown remarkable improvement. Look, the place where they have come from to where they are in world cricket, you have to doff your hat for whatever they have done. But if they want to go forward, they need to find batsmen or find a method to get runs on the board, because three spinners are really good, and their other seamers do a job. As a collective unit, though, they bowl well. But the thing is, if you don't have runs, nobody's going to bowl. You can get the best bowling lineup on the planet, and if you don't have enough runs, they're going to struggle to defend them.
The one area that they can really target Afghanistan, they need a good start versus this very strong England batting lineup. One, James Vince coming in, playing his first game this World Cup. The other, we've seen Mujib really do well with the new ball when you throw it to him. That could be an area where they can really, make full use of, and then probably set the cat amongst the pigeons.
Well, that's right. I know these guys, Mujib and Rashid, etc., have played a lot of leagues around the world in T20 cricket. So the batsmen around the world are getting a lot more access to them. And once you get to face these guys for a while, it becomes easier. But for someone like James Vince, maybe he hasn't faced Mujib, Rashid very much in his career. You can do all the analysis you want and watch it on the computer and things, but it's nothing like being out there in the middle. And if you haven't seen these guys much before, it is extremely challenging. So they'll certainly test James Vince. There'll be pressure on him. He's coming in for Jason Roy, who'll want a big score. Afghanistan will just probably play on those nerves, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get spin onto him really early.
They might just have to do that.
And
Afghanistan.
Also facing a Merlin is very different to facing an action of a spin bowler, and that too, the varied actions which the Afghanistan bowlers have. They've got very different actions. Mujibur Rahman, if you watch him from behind, even if you're standing as an umpire, it's tough to pick what he's bowling. So as Huss pointed out, if you've not faced him, it's good to face a Merlin which is doing the same thing and then face a spinner.
Okay, we don't know whether Afghanistan can upset this very, very strong English side, but what we can tell you, you'll definitely see an Afghan spinner bowling with the new ball. That after they've decided to play just one regular seam bowler. That's all that we have for you on this program. We'll see you at the end of it.